Hello and welcome to a Mr. Panza video lesson. Focus question: how do we solve picture patterns? When we introduced picture patterns, I really encouraged students to make sure that they were saying the repeated patterns over and over until they saw where the pattern started and then where the pattern finished. You can also do this visually by writing out different variables for shapes if you're talking about picture patterns. Here are the steps. First, replace shapes with variable letters. For example, in A, each of these shapes is going to get a unique variable. In this case, I have a rectangle and circle. So every rectangle is going to be labeled with an A. Or if you wanted to make it a different variable like X, that's fine. But every rectangle gets that same exact variable. That's actually step 2. The same shapes should have the same variables. In this case, the only other shape that I have is a circle. So I am going to make that a brand new variable. The circle cannot be the same variable as rectangle because the variables represent different shapes. So the circle is B and the rectangles are A. Now I need to continue the pattern and replace the letters with the correct shapes. It still can be tricky to try and determine where the pattern starts and where it finishes. So sometimes you have to read it a few times. A, double B, double A, and then it switches to a B. And here's my A again, but then I see the pattern pick up again. That's what I want to do. I want to find where the pattern stops and where it picks up again. A, double B, double A, B. A, double B, and then if I start an A here, I know that it's going to be double A because that was the pattern before. A, double B, double A. A, double B, double A. So this A is going to turn into a rectangle. A, double B, double A, and then it was a B. So this should be a circle, and then the pattern is going to start all over again. The same exact numbers should be in the same exact patterns. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different shapes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which means this will be A again to start the pattern all over again. So I can replace each of the shapes with variables and then just draw back in the shapes. In case you're wondering, this can also work if you use numbers. For example, I have different shapes here. So each shape can get a number. Let's give my ovals the number 1. So there are 2 number 1s. I have some long rectangles. I'm going to give them the number 2. Stars can be the variable 3. And hexagons will be the variable 4. What's nice about this pattern is you see exactly where it starts and exactly where it finishes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the same exact pattern. This is where it starts. This is where it finishes. So the 4th shape is a hexagon. I would just have to draw that pattern. But when you're asked a more challenging question like, if the pattern continued to repeat, what would the 10th shape be? Well, we have 8 total shapes here, so it will be the next 2. And I know that the pattern's going to start all over again with 1 and 2. So I have an oval and a rectangle, which would be the next shapes in line. How do I know? I could just go ahead and replace those with the numbers that we designated, and it would work out. Again, you can use numbers or letters or variables, things that are going to work for you. I wanted you to see at least one other example as well. You can continue to use these 3 steps, but you may see something that looks like this, where it's not a letter, it's not a shape. In fact, you're following this ball bouncing around the triangle. You can still use variables. Remember, replace every shape with a variable. So this is a triangle with a dot at the top. Every time I see a triangle with a dot at the top, I'm going to replace it with the variable A. In this case, I have 3 of them. Every time I see the dot at the bottom right-hand corner, I'm going to call that the new variable B. Bottom right-hand corner is now B. I like going in alphabetical order or numerical order so I can see where the pattern starts and where it stops. Now I have it in the bottom left-hand corner. Let's make this variable C. So ABC, ABC, AB, it has to be C, which means what should that look like? If I draw my triangle, the dot will be in the bottom left-hand corner. And since it starts with a 3-picture pattern, I'm going to pick back up again with A, which is a triangle with a dot in the top. The same thing goes for something like this. You start out with a line straight down. That could represent the number 1. Line across, number 2. Line down to the right, number 3. Completing the square, that's number 4. Now look at where the pattern picks up again. A line straight down on the left. This is the beginning portion of your pattern. Replace it with a variable. We had it as number 1. We must keep it as number 1. Across is number 2. Down on the right is number 3. And across down on the bottom is number 4. We pick back up with the start of our pattern, which is the left-hand line, which means the next 2 shapes are just going to be these 2 boxes, and they start the next one, which would be, if we drew the picture, across, and then this one would be down, because this would represent the variable number 2 and the variable number 3. Let's see if it makes sense. Just go ahead and read the pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3. You could continue this on forever. The trick is finding where the pattern starts and finishes after you have replaced each with either a variable or a unique number that works for your memory device. Thanks, and I hope to talk to you soon.